In the spirit of Halloween, I thought I'd do something festive with a fall classic. We are making brown butter brookies today, but with a twist, Halloween style. We're turning a cookie into the best jack-o'-lantern you've ever tasted. Hey, new and returning besties. Let's kick this recipe off with our brownie layer. A layer that's so ooey, so gooey, and amazingly chocolatey. I don't know. It just tastes yummy. We're starting with brown butter. Brown butter is going to give it this really, really rich and indulgent flavor. If you're melting the butter in the microwave, feel free to just use melted butter, but this is brown butter brookies, right? We're adding in our half cup of cocoa. I am using Dutch cocoa. Feel free to use whatever kind you like, unsweetened. That's the tip. Mix the two together and remove the bowl and put it on the side. It's going to make your brownies bloom is the word. We're then in a separate bowl using 3 whole eggs, and these are large eggs, to about 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar. And we are going to whisk that together. So this is going to take a little bit of time. You're going to keep mixing and mixing and mixing until it turns kind of this consistency, kind of white, like a lighter color. I won't say white, but a lighter color and frothy. You're going to then pour that right on in to the cocoa mix. So this is the key. This is why you want to put the melted cocoa on the side and then pour the mix in so that you can then incorporate them together and you have a little bit of control as you do that. And then, of course, I mean, this just looks beautiful, right? Look at that swirl. Oh my goodness. Okay, so once that's done, we're gonna go ahead and add in our flour. Now, here's where I went wrong. Okay, I, in haste, added too much flour. I actually added double the amount of flour, which is why it looks like that. So I had to go in off camera and do the first few steps all over again. And so I'm just making double batch of brownies for myself because I had to. But it actually worked out because now I'm going to split the brownies in 2. I'm making Halloween brownies, and then I'm also making some adult 21 and over brownies, right? Boozy brownies. And I'll put that in a different video. But we're just focusing right now on the Halloween video. So I added a little bit of vanilla, and the amounts are in the description box below. So you have all of that. And we're just lining this with parchment paper, and we're putting it in an 8x8 pan. Now, I kind of wanted mine to be a little bit more rectangular than square because I needed my jack-o'-lantern to fit. So this pan is a 10x6. It actually works out the same with the same amount of batter. It's just rectangle shape so that it can hold my jack-o'-lantern and it won't be smushed. Is smushed a word? Yes, it is. It is. Okay, so you kind of want to make that as even as possible. And we are now ready to create our jack-o'-lantern. So I printed this offline, something really, really simple, and had the dimensions that I needed. And I cut it out using parchment paper. I cut out the shape of the pumpkin along with what makes a jack-o'-lantern, its eyes, nose, and mouth. And I went ahead and I cut them individually. And then I just mapped out exactly how I wanted it to look. Not rocket science there. And then it's on to making my cookie, my jack-o'-lantern cookie. So I made the cookie dough. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to link the video that I used to make the cookie dough below, because I've done that in a previous video and I didn't want you guys to be subject to having to see that again. But for those newbies, new to the fam, go ahead and click on that video and you'll see how I made the cookie dough. Okay, but now we have the cookie dough. We need to make it look like a jack-o'-lantern, which pumpkins are typically orange. So what I'm using is orange, red, and yellow food coloring. The reason why I'm not just using orange is because orange is great. It will look orange, but I have to use a lot. And I was a little hesitant and fearful that it would change the color. Change the flavor. I've heard horror stories about it being like kind of bitter. So the red and the yellow just helps it intensify the color and you don't have to use as much. Okay, so once you've found a color that you like, you go ahead and put it on a bigger piece of parchment paper. You then take the cutout of your pumpkin so you have the size that you want. So it still just looks like a flat piece of cookie dough. But now I'm kind of making it come to life with the cutouts of the parchment that's going to make it that jack-o'-lantern that we're looking for. So the trick to this is to just make a slight indentation. I'm not cutting anything out because the dough is really soft. So I just went and outlined the parchment paper, and then now I'm putting the little green on top. We're then going to take the whole thing and we're going to put it in the fridge. And I actually put it in the fridge overnight. Now, my suggestion, if you're going to do it the same day, is just put it in the fridge for 30, 45 minutes. Now I have my brownie batter and I have my cookie dough, and I'm just sitting it right on top. Another person suggested with their brookies to chill the brownie layer, and they did not chill their cookie layer. I did it the opposite way. They also didn't have a shape for their cookie layer. So it went into the oven on between 350 and 375, depending on how hot your oven bakes. I put mine on 350 and it turned out beautifully. I did it for about 25 minutes. Completely amazing. My little one, Maddie, helped me cut it. Of course, she was front and center when it came out. She was ready to taste. It was a fun Halloween surprise that I made for her. Well, pre-Halloween surprise. And boy, did it taste yummy. So we cut out the eyes first. That was her choice. And it's so good. So you get a little hints of just the brownie. You could actually just cut out the whole jack-o'-lantern and then put the brownie outline aside and just kind of eat that at will if you're going to bring it to a party or something like that. Or you can leave it like that. I would have actually, if I was giving it as a gift or something like that, made the square or the rectangle more uniformed, prettier, or I would have just cut out the entire jack-o'-lantern and left it like that. It would have been a little bit more stunning to the eye. But this was for home, and so it's rustic, and I didn't want anything to go to waste. And so I just left the whole thing whole. But boy, was it gooey, ooey, and so moist. Do me a favor, like, subscribe, and hit that notifications tab so you never miss out on when I upload. Thanks again for joining me, and until next time.